Hello everyone. So now we are going to discuss about this topic. This is a configure and verify eBGP between the direct connected neighbor and best path selection algorithm and neighbor relationship. They mention some part, but we are going to cover more topics related to BGP. So let's go for that one. First of all, we will discuss what is BGP and some points about the BGP. Then we are going to look how we can configure. This is very important. If you go for interview, they will ask you many questions from here, because in the many companies in the ISP, and if you want to advertise your server on the internet, we are going to use the BGP. Many companies are using this one. Even if they are not using, they will ask you question in interview. So we need to remember these all points. So first of all, BGP stands for Border Gateway Protocol. BGP stands for Border Gateway Protocol. It is using the TCP protocol. We need to remember BGP protocol use TCP, port number is 179. This is an interview question. BGP protocol use TCP, port number 179. BGP is used to advertise the internal server on the internet. Example, if you have any server in your organization and you want to put on the internet. Example, let me repeat again. Example, if you have any server in your organization like web server and you want to put on the internet, we can do with the help of BGP. And BGP only a protocol with which we can manipulate the incoming and outgoing traffic. Example, if we see here, let me allow this guy. If you see here, example, you have one server here, you have one router. This is your company router. This is a core router. It is connected to switch and you have some server here. Imagine this is one server, and imagine you have two ISP. This is ISP 1 and you have another ISP 2. So example, if you want to manipulate traffic, you are saying whatever traffic is coming into this server come from this side, from the ISP 1, but whatever traffic is leaving, that should go through ISP 2. We can do this route manipulation by using BGP only. BGP only one protocol. With that one we can manipulate the route. We can play with the route. Like what we can say, whatever traffic is coming into this server, that will come through ISP 1, and the traffic which is going out from this server can leave the ISP 2 through ISP 2. So we can play, in simple words, what we can say, we can manipulate incoming and outgoing traffic. This is only the one protocol with which we can do this one. Only BGP is the one protocol with which we can manipulate the traffic. So this is also one interview question. They will ask you why we want to use the BGP. First thing, our internal server we can keep on the internet by using BGP. And second point, we can manipulate, we can play with the traffic which is coming inside and going outside your gateway. We can play, we can make changes. We can say traffic will come from this ISP and traffic will leave from this ISP, or traffic if coming for this server, it should come here. Like that you can make so many things by using the attribute. We can play with the attribute and we can modify. So in simple, we need to remember in BGP we can manipulate incoming and outgoing traffic. And we can say BGP is a dynamic routing protocol. If you remember, when we are discussing the routing protocol, that time we told we have interior, we have exterior. So BGP is only the one protocol which is exterior protocol, and it is a dynamic routing protocol. So we need to remember BGP is a exterior gateway protocol, and BGP, other name for BGP is internet protocol also. We are calling protocol of internet is nothing but BGP. Sometime someone in interview they will ask you protocol of internet. So you need to remember BGP is a BGP is also called protocol of internet, and BGP is a loop-free protocol. BGP called application layer protocol. BGP is also called policy-based routing protocol. BGP is also called AS by AS dynamic routing protocol. So we need to remember this all. Sometime they will ask you, can you define what is policy-based routing protocol, which protocol is doing? So we need to say that one. So we need to remember that all points. And after that, if we see, BGP is a open standard routing protocol. Open standard means we can run this in any vendor, not only Cisco. We can run this configuration. We can do BGP configuration in Juniper or Hawaii or any other router also, not only the Cisco. And what else we can say? BGP we are using for mainly used for scalability, reliability, and BGP is using the concept of AS. AS is nothing but autonomous system. Autonomous system. We are going to look what is autonomous system in detail. We have private autonomous system, we have public autonomous system. We are going to see that one later. Now routers running BGP is known as BGP speaker. Example, I have one router here, I have another router here. So this router we can call BGP speaker. The other neighbor is known as BGP peer. So this one we need to remember. This is a new two term. BGP, the router which is running on BGP is known as BGP speaker, and neighbor to that BGP router is known as BGP peer. And BGP support the FLSM and VLSM CIDR. In simple, what we can say, BGP is supporting the subnetting. Fixed length subnet mask, variable length subnet mask, classless interdomain routing. This all is nothing but we can say that is a subnetting. So BGP is supporting the subnetting. BGP support auto summary as well as the manual summarization, and BGP is updating the what we can say routes in the system, that is in the router, by incremental. Like if you remember in OSPF EIGRP also they are updating whatever is update, like if anything is going down or up they are updating, not like the RIP always sending whole complete routing table. Here they are sending incrementally. And BGP updates are sent unicast. We need to remember this one. Before in OSPF, in EIGRP, we are saying updates are sent through multicast, but here we have the unicast. So what we can say, BGP updates are sent as unicast to manually define neighbor. And here we need to define the neighbor manually. If you remember in OSPF EIGRP, automatically we are getting the neighbor, but here we need to configure manually. And BGP is having the two flavor, that is eBGP, iBGP. So what is eBGP? External BGP. iBGP is nothing but internal BGP. So we have two types of BGP. We can configure the BGP two types. If peer are in the same AS, then it is called internal BGP. If peer are in the same I wrote BGP, iBGP. Okay. Here I wrote something wrong, I think. If peer are in the same AS, called internal BGP. So here let me change. If peer are in the different AS, this one, different AS, then it is called external BGP. External BGP, that is known as eBGP. This should be E. So what I am saying, when I am going to configure, let me draw here. Example, I have one router here, I have another router here. So when we are configuring the BGP, we have the concept of AS. Here we will have the AS number. If both are having the same AS number, example both are having 1, then we call that is internal BGP. If peer are in the same AS, then it is called internal BGP, that is iBGP. But if they are having different AS, example this is having AS1, this is having AS2, then it is called as external BGP. If peer are in the different AS, then it is called external BGP. We need to remember BGP AD value, administrative distance. I hope you remember administrative distance we use in the OSPF EIGRP. Here also we have the AD value. In this scenario, we have two AD value. If BGP we are configuring external BGP, this one, then AD value will be 20. If we are configuring as the internal, then AD value will be 200. We are going to verify this one. And neighbor relationship for eBGP, iBGP are slightly different. We are going to see that one. And iBGP, let me correct here also. iBGP, the neighbor no need to connect directly. iBGP. So in the iBGP means internal. I have one router here. I have another router here. I have another router here. I have 3 router like this connected. All are using same AS. I am using AS1 here. Here also AS1, and here also I am using AS1. So if all are using same AS, we can make the neighbor like this. No need to make here neighbor. Directly we can make. But we need to have the connectivity. We need to have the connectivity from here to here. For connectivity purpose, we can run any routing protocol. Example, I can run OSPF here to have the connectivity from here to here. After that, I can make the neighbor directly like this. So just we need to remember now iBGP, that is internal BGP. The neighbor no need to connect directly. If you remember in OSPF, when we are configuring OSPF, we are having routers, so we need to have directly connected. Then only we can make neighborship. But for internal means same AS number. If we are having the same AS number, no need to connect directly. Even if it is not directly connected, we can make the neighborship in the BGP. For internal BGP, if we have external BGP, then you need to have the directly connected. Let me show here. If eBGP, then neighbor need to connect directly. So this is a 2 point we need to remember. These all points are very important for interview. They are going to ask many questions from these points. So first thing what we told, if we are using iBGP, that is same AS number, then no need to connect directly. If we are using eBGP, that is different AS number, then we need to have directly connected. Then only we can make the neighborship. And BGP has no auto discovery mechanism for peer. Means they will not discover automatically neighbor. We need to define manually. We need to configure manually. So we are going to check how we can configure manually. And let's see AS. We are saying AS. AS is nothing but autonomous system. Autonomous system, what we can say, it is a collection of network under single administrative domain. So whenever we are configuring the BGP, we need to use AS number also. AS number also we have 2 types. One is private, one is public. If you remember, as we are saying, IP address is also divided into 2 types. One is private, one is public. Same like that, AS number is also there. Like whenever we buy the IP address for the big companies, we can buy the AS number also from the INA. INA is a organization from where we can get the IP address. So if we want to run the BGP, we need to have the AS number. Without AS number, we cannot run the BGP. So now what we need to say, autonomous system, that is AS. We need AS. If we want to run the BGP, we should have the AS. If we are running inside our organization, we can use private AS. But if we are running outside our company, if we are connecting 2 branches, or if we are connecting to internet from different countries, then we need to use the public AS, same like public IP. So INA is the organization from where we can get the IP as well as the AS number. AS is nothing but autonomous system number, that is ANS also we are calling sometime, that is nothing but autonomous system number. Sometime we are calling AS, that is a autonomous system. All are same, only we can get this from the INA. INA is the organization from where we can get the AS number and the public IP. So like IP address we are buying, we will purchase the autonomous system number also. So we will need this one. If we are connecting 2 branches, if we want to run the BGP, we need this one. It is having like 16 bit or 2 octet. So 16 bit means we have range from total we have 65535 numbers. But later as the internet is growing, so they have one more, that is 32 bit. So in this one we are getting a lot of AS number. And now again they categorize the AS number. So we have different AS number. 0 is reserved, we cannot use, and from 1 to 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, this range they reserve for public. So if for public purpose we can use this one. This is reserved for pool transition, and this is for public. This is reserved for private purpose, and this is reserved. So we can use this one, and we can use this one and this one. So when we are buying, INA will take care about this one, and they will give us. So just they will give the number along with the IP address. So now just we need to remember, whenever we want to configure the BGP, we need the AS number, and we have the range in the AS number. We can have the AS number from 16 bit, or we can have the 32 bit. So 16 bits is having the range 0 to 65535, and if we are getting from the range 32 bytes, it is having the big number, but INA is going to give when we buy that time. And it is also classified into different types. It is for reserve, some are reserved, some are for private purpose, some are for public purpose. So we need to use for the public purpose only, because we need to advertise. So now we are saying we have two types of BGP, IBGP and EBGP. So now we are going to look what is IBGP. So this is just overview about the BGP. So let me stop.